with a brief introduction.
Okay.
So, before we do that, let's try to take in the atmosphere. You can close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths. Thank you. So, thank you. You can open your eyes now if you like. We will do a little bit more of maybe nature meditation as we move forward. But so I said we can discuss about 3 things right now to start off. Introduce ourselves, how we come here to Rishikesh specifically, generically, and to this retreat. So more or less your spiritual journey to some extent, and then finally some way we pursue the speciality or spirituality, or just the difference of the ambience of the place that we are in. So my name is Chaitanya Charan. Just call me Charan or Chaitanya or monk or whatever you like. So Charan, and I have been studying and practicing and trying to share yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga, for about 25-30 years now. So I stumbled across it when I was doing my engineering in the 1990s. It answered many questions that, especially I stumbled across the Bhagavad Gita specifically. And it answered many questions I had, and many questions I didn't even know that I had. And since then I felt that the way it enriched my consciousness, the way it gave a deeper meaning to my life, I felt sharing it would be the best way I could contribute. So that's what I've been trying to do in some small way. And especially for me, the intersection between psychology and philosophy is of great interest. Philosophy is more about the nature of reality, and psychology is nature of the self, nature of the inner world of the mind and the self and whatever is there inside it. So I try to, whatever wisdom I have learned, I try to share it in this understanding of intersection of psychology and philosophy. So that's what we're going to discuss today in terms of self-transformation. And when I look at this mountain and the river, actually I'm feeling you have been unfair to me. You know, I cannot see any of the beauty.
One against 20.
Okay. Unfairly you win. Okay, so two words, sublime and serene. That it's so the sound of the water is so peaceful and serene, and the majesty of the mountains, that's sublime. So thank you. Who would like to start? Want to go this way? This way. Everybody has to at some time or the other. So, would you like to start?
Yeah. So my name is Steffi.
Steffi. Steffi, yeah.
I'm from Austria. I'm also working in the health field, and I had the call to come to India, so it was kind of a hard call.
Sorry, half?
From my heart, it was
Heart's call, okay,
hard
sorry.
to come to India. Yes, and I just see all these colors around me, and it's very beautiful.
Okay, beautiful colors, right?
You can distribute this to the others when you are speaking.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so is it working?
Well, you can
So just
here.
Is it work?
It doesn't need to be close to the
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Steffi,
yeah.
just one more thing, can you add a little bit that? So, how did you come to know about Bhakti Yoga Rishikesh, or what inspired you to come specifically for this retreat? So, how you come here could be in Rishikesh and also to this retreat. So, anything particular you're looking for, or what has inspired you to come?
So a friend took me to the kirtan on Saturday last week.
Okay.
And then I really liked the energy, I liked the community, and then I decided to join the Sunday, so the hike. And yes, and then I went to the workshops and wisdom talk, and I was like, yes, I wanna know more about this. I wanna learn more about this. I wanna get more into this topic. and that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Oops. Yeah, thank you. My name is Maureen.
Sorry, Laurie.
Maureen.
Maureen.
With M, yes.
Yeah.
And what brought me to Rishikesh? When I was in Bali, I had a vision and I saw many pictures of. Yeah, after a while, I found out it's Rishikesh. But there was a voice and said, "Come to India, come to India, come to India." And I said, "Why? Why? And I live on Kopangan. I don't want to leave. Come to India." And then, so I followed this call. And after a couple of days, I found out it's Rishikesh. I saw the pictures in my vision of Rishikesh, and I'd never been to Rishikesh before. What was the next question? What brought me here to this retreat? I took a tarot card, and it was transformation, and the explanation of it was, it was past life. That was the card, past life, and to look on your patterns of your behavior, and to find out what makes you behave like that. And so I joined the classes, the workshops with you before, and I said, this is exactly what I need to do. And that was also a part of my vision, that I'm here to find out about my patterns and my behaviors, and to change. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's it.
Quite a journey you had.
Oh, sorry.
Quite a mystical journey you had. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything about the place here, experience, what you...
This place?
what do you feel about just... If already you had a vision of Rishikesh then?
Yeah, I felt the power of the water, of the Ganga.
Okay.
I felt this also in my vision. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The power of the water.
Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful flow. Thank you.
So my name is Shashi, and I'm yoga teacher. I'm living in Rishikesh since last 1 year. I'm settled with my husband, so I'm living in India. And
I think the mic is not working, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not the mic for the loudspeaker.
Sorry?
actually, this is only connected
Only
with
for
the
recording. Oh, okay, okay.
This will be the other one, so you make it. You can give it to her, right? Because your voice is a little softer, and I will make
sorry.
it ready until then.
So you're assuming her voice is louder?
Yeah. No, he knows already, as I've been here for some time.
Okay, sure.
My name is Elisa, and I came to Rishikesh to connect more to myself and find my true self. And I came here about 5 months ago. And I've been learning more about yoga, not only the asanas, the philosophy, pranayama, everything, which has been a really good journey. And I love kirtans. I feel like my heart fills up full of love each time I join a kirtan. And and I met this group a month ago. And I've been joining many events, and I just love being around this group, and I feel like I'm already part of it. And so that's why I joined this the retreat today, because I knew it's going to be good and it's going to fulfill me in many ways. And when we just arrived here, I felt very drawn to look at the Ganga, also the flow of the river. So I'm feeling very good. Thank you.
Shashi. Yes.
Go to her again? No, next?
No, just I will give to her also.
All together.
So
Okay.
now you will be able to be together.
hello,
It will just take a second.
hello,
Okay, you can try.
hello. I think I'm just eating the mic. Hello. Okay.
Like
Sorry,
a straw.
I'm not
You're
used.
sipping something from
I'm
it.
not used to be interviewed with a mic. It's really impressive for me. My name is Shashi, and so as I was saying, I'm
So your
settled.
name was Elisa.
Yes.
Yes.
E or I?
E.
Elisa, okay, thank you.
So I'm settled in India since past 2 years, but especially in Rishikesh since 1 year. And I'm feeling, of course, really lucky to be here permanently because it's a beautiful place to live your spirituality, to grow spiritually. This place offers you so many things. And it's being also a month, more or less, I'm connected with the Bhakti Yoga community. And first, I was more attracted by the wisdom talk because I have so much craving for this spiritual knowledge, and they were here to provide beautifully. And I just love being connected with them. And especially, yeah, I'm really excited about today's workshop. Because I believe it's going to be a great tool for myself to grow personally, to introspect. So yeah, the word that I can use to describe this place is purity and transformation. Yes,
Beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. My name is Punit and I belong to India, and she is my wife. So we are staying here like from last 2 years, and it's like a beautiful phase that is coming in my life. In these days, we are very much connected, like people, great people like you, and getting like more aware about the goal of life. And I'm a yoga teacher, so it's not about only asanas. So we also like getting upgraded through these kind of knowledge and philosophy. So it's a beautiful experience, and I hope that today we can excel and we can enhance the knowledge. And like about this place, whenever we just get close to the nature just make us to think better, make us to evolve, and make us to introspect. So nature is always like bring our intellect to the next level. So I really appreciate this place. I really appreciate the moment whenever I get close to the nature. Thank you.
Rishikesh has that in abundance.
Yeah.
Proximity to nature is consciousness uplifting, actually. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Harish. I am living here in Rishikesh from last 3 years. I came to Rishikesh to be with this divine Mother Ganga. She is considered as the most strongest divine feminine on this earth. I came here so that I can connect more deeply with my own feminine side also. And I came in contact with Bhakti Yoga from last 30 years. Like I've been going to Vrindavan from last 3 decades. And I'm very much attached to this kirtan and this Mahamantra and the sound of this chanting and the company of the Sangha. And while sitting here, I am remembering of one quotation from Swami Shivanand. I feel like the divine child of the nature, and he used to say that Ganga is my mother and Himalaya is my father. So I'm reminded of this, that I am also feeling like the divine child of the nature sitting here with Mother Ganga and Himalayas.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matan.
Sorry, Madan or Matan?
Matan, yeah, with an N at the end.
T or D?
Matan.
Matan. Okay.
I came to India actually because Thailand had monsoons. But here I am here.
So you're from Thailand originally?
No, I just wanted to go on a trip to Thailand, and there was monsoons there, so I said, okay, let's go to India instead.
So you're from where originally?
What?
You're from where originally?
Israel.
Israel.
Yeah. I came to Rishikesh also, like I was just curious about the city. Here I came because I saw your lecture on Friday. Well, was it? Yeah, it was Friday. And like I think like the mind can be a bit crazy sometimes, so it's good to like explore it and see how to work with it. And I see mostly green. Yeah.
We don't see so much greenery in the cities. It's nice always to see the beautiful neighbors. Thank you, Matan.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Roy. I came to Rishikesh mostly because of yoga. I practice for some years by now. Besides this, I like all sorts of self-exploration on the physical side, on the mind side. I was here before, so I also came for all the beautiful nature around. And yeah, to explore new workshops, to gather new knowledge. That's mainly it. I like very much the wild nature here. I think it's the nature of India also represents the vibe and the mentality and
Yes.
the culture as well. So
Thank you. Bye.
thank you.
Thanks.
Haribol. My name is Sagi. Hi,
Sorry?
everyone. Sagi, Saghi. I'm from Canada. I've been in India for the last month. It's my first time visiting. And yeah, I came to India because, similar to what others were sharing, it's a call that was very loud. And I'm slowly learning that it's all just part of a divine arrangement to be here. Rishikesh specifically, yeah, I just yoga. Rishikesh just seems like a good home base. I'll be traveling around a little bit, and I come to your offering today on recommendation of a dear friend of mine who said your offerings are amazing, so it would be in my best interest to attend. I just spent the last week away in Mayapur too, so to be in Sangha and to be in community is just, I think, medicine for integration. And yeah, I feel this environment is very expansive. So just growth in the future. Thank you.
Expansive, nice description of the vastness of nature and the mountains before us. Thank you. So Sagi is a S-A-G-I or what is it?
Saghi.
Sagi, so that's an Indian name or it's a Canadian name?
It's a Persian name.
Persian name, okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. My name is Esther. I'm from the Netherlands. And yeah, I came to India because I feel like in India are the roots of the spirituality. And during my travels, I learned more about Krishna consciousness, and I'm still super curious to learn more. That's why I also joined the retreat today. So I'm super grateful for the knowledge you want to share with us, experience that we all can have here on this amazing location. The energy here from the Ganga, it's amazing. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, and I hope for everybody it's a joyful experience.
Thank you. That's the first.
Namaste, my name is Raj. So this is my second year living here in Rishikesh. I've been running some outdoor projects. Like we were setting up an eco village across the river, and that also housed a sweat lodge. But when the monsoon came, so the project was disrupted. So when the winter is here, so I will restart my outdoor projects. I was also part of a group that was running men's circle, because I think we also need men's circle. I just came here 2 days back and I saw your presentation. I was not sure if I would like to join. Honestly, today there was a marathon. We started like 5 in the morning. I was actually planning for that. But I also thought that marathon is like for outwards, and this marathon is inwards. So I came to this marathon.
Hopefully this marathon will not be that exhausting. Thank you for coming, Raj.
Hare Krishna. I'm Suraj. I'm from India. And I was a stockbroker 2 years back, but I stumbled upon a topic of God. So after that, I wrote a book. It's called Meet God. And then here for the launch of the final edition. So since then, I'm not working. So after this launch, then I'm looking forward to, like, the moment I came to the Kirtan last day, and the energy was amazing. So I feel like, it's like family. So that's the reason I'm here. So that's all.
What do you feel about the place, the vibes?
Rishikesh is just 3 days in Rishikesh right now. So very new for me. So
Yeah, but
hopefully,
this particular place, being in the ambience,
yeah, this is amazing. That's what I'm like. I was blown away. Yesterday's energy for Kirtan was amazing. So,
you're carrying it with you today.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Suraj.
Thank you. Hey everyone, my name is George. I'm from the UK. I've just popped over for a wedding, which is on Tuesday, Wednesday this week. I'm living in Bali at the moment. I guess, well, Cami brought me to this event, which is how I'm here. I think I've been on a real journey trying to understand yoga and surrendering a lot more in my life. Definitely been pushing for a lot of things for a lot of years. And so, yeah, I guess here today is like continuing that journey. And also, yeah, I just feel that the energy of the place is very much that. There is a real like surrendering energy, real calmness. And yeah, it's really beautiful to be here.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Cami or Camila. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. So what brought me to Rishikesh was the intention to deepen my yoga practice and also to share the wedding we're attending this week. I've been here for less than a week. I went to Kirtan on Thursday, I think, or Wednesday. I love the vibe there, and I recommended the activities with you. I went to your talk, and it was awesome, all the knowledge you share. So I'm really grateful for that. I work in the health field as well. I'm a psychologist, so I'm always keen to understand how the mind works and all the tools for self-empowerment. Yeah, basically deepening in my yoga practice to share that with the world and anywhere that I travel or like I would be. And what makes me feel grounded in here, it's well, nature, but like just how the wind moves like those things there, or like how the wind moves the trees and the leaves. It's just like so beautiful and makes me feel so grounded. And also the subtle sound of the river, it's, yeah, beautiful. The colors, like, yeah, pretty much everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steven. I've been invited here in Rishikesh by Premamurti and Bhakti Yoga Rishikesh Center to help them with kirtans. I was like almost 7 years. I was always into philosophy and spirituality, but 6 or 7 years ago I found out about Bhakti Yoga and went deeper into Vedic philosophy. What I'm mostly like interested here with your talks are actually now, because we dive deeper now into psychological and maybe more practical ways of applicating the philosophy that we were talking about. I'm generally interested in samskaras and how we can actually, in a sense, clear our lens of perceiving the reality as much as is possible, and to have less, how to say, impurities in that medium, media from how we perceive it. And what I perceive here is actually very nice forest, which I really enjoy being, beneath it. So that's for me.
Thank you.
Namaste. My name is Lalita, and I come from Serbia. And I've been invited to Rishikesh by the amazing people Premamurti and his wife Taruni. They saw me and Steven playing, and they invited us here to serve and to explore and to uplift ourselves. And the most amazing thing in Rishikesh for me is the Ganga. Of course, I dropped my heart there. And the energy and I don't know, everything. And that's it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shyam, and I was always interested in spirituality from since I was a young boy, and somehow or other I could find all these answers somehow from the Vedas. So I was very drawn to this. So at one point I came to India, and then I met many advanced people. They were expanding this knowledge like this. And recently also I was in India, and Prem invited me to come to Rishikesh, that it's a very nice place, very interesting people, all the people who are trying to find out the answer, just like I'm searching these answers. So he told me come and we will have a nice fun. So I said, okay, and I'm here and it's very nice. Like Prabhuji is coming, always someone is coming, giving amazing talks and giving us more depth into spirituality. So I feel it was really good decision to come here.
Thank you. Here is the remaining. Everyone? Yes, Prema. Both of you.
Okay. So, maybe so my name is Prem, most of you know me, and I came here to Rishikesh because a friend invited me to assist in developing this Bhakti Yoga Rishikesh, and then me and my wife Taruni, who is not here because she is sick a little bit, we came just to see the place, and then we loved the place so much because we saw so amazing people here. So I love in Rishikesh mostly the people who are so sincere, coming here to discover themselves, coming here to charge themselves spiritually. So this is actually what really attracted us here. And then when we came here, we loved it, and then the friend said, okay, can you just lead this center? And then I said, okay, and I delegated everything that I was doing back in Europe to other friends who were doing these things with me, and we came now full time here to share these jewels actually that we got ourselves also before. So it's very beautiful when you get something very precious, and then to share that also to others, because this is bhakti, this is love, giving and receiving. So we are very happy that we can do that here, and that we also have all of your association. So thank you so much.
Thank you. As you know, the word prema means love. So he's such a sweet and loving person. I've known him for the last few months, and every interaction warms my heart.
Before that, I only know him because I was learning from him.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Philip Gore. I come from Croatia. I live in Belgium for the last 4 years. I'm a photographer and videographer. I've been on a bhakti path for about 17 years, and every year I spend a month or month and a half in India. Usually that's in Vrindavan area for my personal retreat. But this year I feel I'm kind of on a crossroad, and Prema Murthy invited me to come here for a couple of weeks to assist with this beautiful initiative. So here I am. I'm going to Vrindavan in a couple of days, and I really like the surroundings. I think as far as I have experienced, this is outwardly the best India I had experienced, in the combination of this beautiful surrounding, the presence of the divine river, and such nice, open-hearted, beautiful spiritual seekers. I really feel my heart is also opening in this community of seekers in Rishikesh. And of course, I love kirtans and philosophy, and Prabhuji's presentation, very, very deep, many-angle thought, scholarly presentations. Thank you very much. Someone else wants to go for a second time.
Somebody wants to add something?
So thank you all for sharing your heart, and I'll do a quick recap of what we are going to do. We have approximately 4 sessions. We could divide the morning into 2. After maybe a 45 minutes to 1 hour, we'll have a short break and we'll have next one, and then we have 2 in the evening. So broadly we're going to do it. First session, I'm going to talk about self-understanding. I'll talk about a model of the self that is given in the yoga tradition and how that can help us to make sense or make more sense of the urges and the impulses that come within us and the way we behave. So first will be self-understanding. Then in the second session, I will talk about self-observation. That is where we will talk more about journaling and how introspection and journaling can help us to understand ourselves better. So self-understanding, then self-observation. And then after that, in the second half, we're going to talk about self-improvement or self-transformation. Within that, I'll talk about 2 main things. That is boundaries and bonds. So the Bhagavad Gita talks about these 2 things, abhyasa and vairagya. So one session will be on boundaries and one will be on bonds. So in this way, that's the broad map of what we'll be discussing. And throughout we will feel free to ask any questions if you have. And if anything is not clear, let us know. And at the end of each session, we'll also try to have some time for questions. So let's begin with self-understanding. Some of us may be interested in mysteries, or detective fiction, or adventure searches and mysteries. There's so much excitement in knowing something that is unknown. Now, probably the most important mystery that we will ever tackle is the mystery of our own selves. In that sense that we all sometimes act in ways that we ourselves can't make sense of. Now, when we see somebody else behaving strangely, hey, what's wrong with you? We just speak one word and they explode. Say, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why are you acting like this? So the behavior seems unreasonable, and we try to understand people. So just as we can sometimes not figure out why others act the way they do, similarly, we can sometimes not figure out why we act the way we do. Have any of you ever experienced this? Isn't it? It's something which we all, if you're a little self-observant, we see, okay, why did I speak like that? Why did I do like that? Now sometimes it could be, we end up doing something positive. Many times what we end up doing is somewhat negative. So sometimes we may act in such a way that we may think, like, I am a stranger to myself. Like, who am I really? For me, one of the incidents that started off my spiritual search, or it was not a spiritual search at that time, it was more like a inner search. So I was doing an experiment when I was studying my engineering in a lab, and suddenly a friend told me, or called out, hey, there's wildlife on your body. And even without thinking, my first words were, hey, don't hurt it. And I looked back and I saw there was a small insect on my shirt. So then I walked up to the window, put my finger there, and then the insect crawled onto the finger and I just gently let it out of the window. And I looked at my friend, I remembered he was looking at me with big, bemused kind of eyes. And that evening, he told me something while we were having lunch in our mess, and we were making a mess of things. So he said that a few months ago we had done a project together and something had gone wrong at that time, and I thought I had made the mistake and I had been held responsible. But he told me actually it was he who had made the mistake and he had let me take the fall. I just became so angry. I just leapt up and raised my fist and said, "I'll kill you." And as I raised my fist and raised my voice, suddenly his eyes went wide. This was in shock. But somehow, when I saw those wide open eyes, I froze. It reminded me of the afternoon. And it was almost like I was looking at myself from above. Hey, which is the real me? The me few hours ago was not ready to hurt an insect. And now this me wants to smash the face of his friend. Which is the real me? Or is the real me something different from both of these? So that started making me look like what goes on in our inner world. So I read books on psychology and then spirituality, and that's how I came across the Bhagavad Gita. And therein I found a model of the self that made a lot of sense to me. And I'm still understanding the model because it's not just abstract theory, it's something which we evolve in our appreciation or realization of what it is. So essentially, now this model itself can be very complicated, but I'll keep it very simple, that there is inside us, there are two levels of reality. Basically, you could say reality is three levels. There's a physical reality. So right now you're looking at me, I'm looking at you. That's the level of the body. Then there is the mental reality. That's the mind. And beyond that, there is the spiritual reality. That is the soul. So body, mind and soul are three levels to reality. And these three levels interact in a very dynamic way. So we could say that if we consider a computer system, there's the hardware, the software and the user. So the body is like the hardware, the mind is like the software, and the soul is the user. So now, say if I have a phone here, there's a flashlight. Can you see the light now coming from it? So the source of light, the bulb that is there, whatever it is, that is like the soul. And the stream of light coming out from it, that is the consciousness of the soul. That is the capacity of awareness that we have. So the soul is called Atma and consciousness is called, anyone knows the Sanskrit word? Chaitanya. So from the Atma comes Chaitanya. From the soul comes streaming out the light of awareness, of consciousness. Now, if I put this shutter on, is the light still there? The light is there, but the light is not perceivable. Now, if I open the shutter, to the extent the shutter is open, then the light is perceivable. So this shutter is approximately like the mind. Now, the mind is not just a shutter. The mind is basically the passageway, the link. So if you consider the soul is here, the body is here, and linking the two is the mind. So when the mind functions, essentially the mind has two functions. The mind is the transmitter of consciousness. Transmitter means that it is the passageway. It is the route, the pathway through which consciousness goes through. So we could envision this to be something like a pipe. No. So now the mind is a very subtle thing, and we will use different metaphors to understand it. But at the structural or functional level, at what it is made up of, the mind is basically what enables or disables the consciousness to reach the body. That's why when we use the word, hey, don't be so absent-minded. What does absent-minded mean? Is the person, the soul is there, the body is there, but the mind is somewhere else. So for perception to take place, say I am looking at you, you are looking at me. So the soul is the seer. Say if I am looking at you, you are the object. But for my eyes to actually see you, the mind has to be present. So the consciousness goes through and reaches the soul. So the mind is the pathway through which the soul's consciousness goes outward. We take in information and then we decide to do some actions. So the mind is meant to be a transmitter of consciousness. It is, however, not just a transmitter. Because now I am using the word mind in a very broad sense to refer to the intermediate dimension. If we go deeper, we can talk about the ego, we can talk about the intelligence, but I'm using the word mind as a shorthand for the intermediate level between the physical and the spiritual. So the mind is meant to be not just a transmitter, it is also meant to be a transformer. Transformer in what sense? If I am speaking right now, what is coming out from my mouth is simply some sound vibrations. But it is inside the mind that the impressions are there by which you know the English language. And so the audio data that is coming in through the ears, that is transformed into some meaningful speech in the mind. Say, when I was coming here, all of you, which language were you speaking? Was it Croatian or Croatian? Yeah, so the language sounded interesting and baffling to me. The sound was interesting, but because there are no impressions associated with that language in my mind, so I couldn't understand anything. So the mind is essentially a meaning-seeking thing. Whatever information comes in, it tries to make some sense out of it. So the mind is a transmitter, it gives information, but doesn't just give information. It also gives a meaning to that information. Now that meaning can be right or wrong, but so the mind is a transmitter and a transformer. These two functions the mind does. At any point, the first session will be a little concept heavy, subsequent will become a little easier. And we will revisit these concepts again as we go through. So if you don't catch everything, that's perfectly fine. So the mind is meant to serve these two functions, but the mind can go off in two ways. One is that it can become a distractor, and the other is it can become a distorter. So distractor, basically, if I consider here, is the internet good enough to have Zoom? It may not be. Okay, so I'm just drawing something, whatever I described over here. There's a soul, the mind, the body, and then there is the outer world. So when the consciousness goes out, okay, sorry. So I just send you something on the WhatsApp group. It's a basic level of visualization. Okay. Okay, the internet seems to be quite poor. It's not gone through till now. Okay. Okay, so from the soul to the mind to the body, consciousness goes through. And for the next session, what I'll try to do is I'll try to make some diagrams in advance and keep them ready, so I don't have to. So they'll be sent beforehand. But so these three are meant to be in one line. But sometimes when the mind acts as a distractor means what happens? That in the three are meant to be in one line, but the mind goes off somewhere else. When it goes off somewhere else, then our consciousness gets dissipated. Part of it is where our body is, part of it is where our mind is. And depending on how much we are distracted, then that much is the amount of information we take in or we don't take in. So if the three are not in one line, sometimes they become in completely opposite line. That means the mind is taking us completely away. See, when there is no sync between the body and the mind, that is technically called as insanity. So insanity, well, it could be a pathological state, but essentially what happens is the mental and the physical worlds become totally disconnected. Like when somebody is having a hallucination, they're hearing some voices when there's nobody there. They're seeing something when there's nothing there. So basically now spiritual visions can also be considered to be insanity, but there we are perceiving something higher. That's different. But in general, if the physical and the mental are totally disconnected, then it can become a problem. So one problem with the functioning of the mind is it's meant to be a transmitter, but it can become a distractor. The second is that it can become a distorter. Distorter means that the mind is not just a neutral transmitter of information. The mind is actually containing impressions inside, as I said earlier. And those impressions cause certain stimuli to become magnified and certain stimuli to become minimized. So, for example, say if we are sitting here and you hear some noise, okay, that's just maybe some people passing by. But if suddenly we hear the roar of a tiger, so that is one noise. Hey, is there a tiger dangerous? Do you have to run away from here? So then that should be magnified because that indicates some danger. And then the mind can magnify that and alert us to danger. But sometimes, so when some stimulus is coming in from outside, that stimulus becomes enlarged by the mind. And when it becomes enlarged, such enlargement can sometimes be helpful, but sometimes it can be counterproductive. So, oh God, that's well, to call this as a tiger is a distortion.
I think in the seminar will be about dogs.
So the impressions, the dog, I'm going to talk about the dog example right now, so I'll come to that. So what causes the mind to enlarge or minimize certain stimuli? That is the impressions within it. And those impressions are called as samskars. Samskar refers to the impressions that are there within the mind which cause whatever perceptions, whatever information that is coming in to become either magnified or minimized. So the mind is not just a neutral transmitter of information, it is a transformer. So samskar themselves are not inherently good or bad. They are impressions. Some impressions could be good. So now if we, like you saw a dog and the urge came to pet the dog, to fondle the dog. So that's come from some past impressions. But say suppose someone in the childhood was bitten by a dog. And as soon as they see a dog, the whole dog gets reduced to the sharp teeth. Even it is a small, cute, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Would you say that sanskar is a belief system in a way?
Okay, I'll come to belief system. Let's keep it at this simple level. It is impressions in the mind that can lead to belief system. But it leads to a lot of things also. It's not just belief system. It's also a way we understand facts. Because once you start using the word belief system, then it involves a certain level of subjectivity. And there is subjectivity, but it's not just subjective. Because there are objective realities. Fire, for example, is dangerous. And if I see fire, and I, even without knowing that, okay, there's a fire over there, I feel something hot and I move away from it. And we can say it's a biological urge to survive, but that also comes from the impressions within us. So it's just impressions. They can lead to beliefs, they can lead to many other things. So it is definitely belief system, but it's also much more than that. So samskaras are the impressions which cause the information that is coming in to be transformed. To be, either we seek some meaning within it. But now, if somebody is here behind me and they want my attention, so they tap my shoulder. And if they tap my shoulder and if I scream, yeah, what happened? I just tapped your shoulder. And I say, actually, I had fallen on the shoulder, I have a sprain over here. Oh, okay. So, if there is a physical injury, then what happens is a small stimulus leads to a large response. And whenever there is a disproportionate response, a small stimulus and a large response, that suggests that there is something wrong. There is some sprain over here. On the other hand, say if there is some other injury which makes a person numb. So you touch them, nothing happens. You slap them, nothing happens. You punch them, nothing happens. What happened? I'm calling you. Then you notice. So there could be a large stimulus and little or no response. That is also indicative of some kind of malfunctioning. So in many ways, the mind is like the body. So in general, how do we know the presence of samskaras in the mind? It is by the disproportionality of the responses to stimuli. If, for example, we just speak some words to someone, hey, come on, can you please do it like that way? Why are you always getting on my case? Why are you yelling at me? Why do you hate me so much? I just made one polite suggestion, can you please take it over there? So we say, what's wrong with you? Maybe that person has some impression that people always boss them around, or maybe the people think that we are authoritarian, whatever. So the idea is, when there is a small stimulus and a large response, the disproportionality of the response is indicative of the presence of some samskara. So samskara also can lead to attachments. So for example, somebody is an alcoholic. Then I gone for a very important meeting, maybe a corporate meeting in a big 5-star hotel, and while they're passing by to go to the boardroom, they see some drinks. Oh, I want to drink it. And then after that, they're meeting their boss and they're talking with their boss, and their boss' body changes into a bottle of alcohol in their mind. So what has happened over there? The impression, just a passing sight of a bottle of alcohol has led to a disproportionate response. Oh, I want to drink it, and that's filling their consciousness. So the point is that one way to understand the presence of samskaras is that whatever stimulus comes in, if there is a disproportionate response. So some people are hypersensitive. Now if they hear some issue, some problem, they just get overwhelmed by it. So for example, when there is PTSD, and there's post-traumatic stress disorder, that's an example of a particularly prominent samskara. Like somebody was in a place where there's a bomb blast, and they saw maybe their colleagues or things around them just blown to smithereens. After that, they hear any loud sound, maybe an object falling down, maybe a firecracker, a balloon bursting, immediately. What's happening with small stimulus? Huge response. So samskaras are the impressions within us which determine how stimulus leads to response. They don't alone determine, but they play a significant part in determining. Samskaras are the inner impressions that stimulus comes in, response goes out. So how will that response go out? Now, if somebody is very desensitized to violence, maybe they grew up in a rough neighborhood and they beat people up, they have seen other people getting beaten up. An ordinary person, when they see maybe somebody with blood, maybe a bloodied nose or a black eye, they get concerned, they get alarmed. What happened? But for somebody who has just grown around seeing that, the sight of blood may not affect them at all. So what has happened is, again, the opposite side of it. Some samskaras can make us desensitized. So the large stimulus, but no response. At an extreme level, there can be sociopaths and psychopaths, where terrible things can happen to them, they can do terrible things, and even basic human decency, basic humanity seems to be absent within them. So samskaras, to a large extent, shape the way we perceive the world and the way we act in the world. Now, the mind is the place where the samskaras are stored. The impressions are formed over there. And consciousness, which comes from the soul, goes through the mind. And then it goes to the outer world. So basically, the consciousness, so I'll add one more concept and then we'll stop and then we'll have some reflective discussion on this more. So consciousness is basically associated with two broad functions: awareness and action. So we have the knowledge acquiring senses, and then we have the working senses. So through the eyes, ears, we acquire knowledge. Through the hands, legs, we work. So consciousness is required for both, for awareness and for action. And in both of these, the impressions that are present in the mind, they affect how we function. So when we are taking in awareness and taking in information, which information gets highlighted? Which information gets emphasized? That is determined by the impressions in our mind. So similarly, when we are acting, how we act. Like some people, when they want to greet each other, they may gently shake hands. Some people, they pat each other on the back. Some people, they slam others on the back. You may say that's just the way they are brought up. That's the way their culture is. That may be true, but how is that? They may not consciously be thinking, I want to hit this person on the back. But just that's what they do. So even our actions are shaped by the impressions within us. How we perceive things and how we act. So both of these are shaped by the impressions within us. And the impressions that are there within us, we most of the time are not aware of them. we become aware of them only when things go off track. Say for example, all of you are sitting here and you're trying to hear this talk. Now every one of you is confident that the person next to you is not going to suddenly turn at you and slap you in the face. Now is that a possibility? Well, you can say anything is possible, isn't it? But if somebody is interested in the spiritual talk, somebody has come here, then it's quite likely that they have a certain level of discipline, a certain way of behaving, and they are extremely unlikely to do something like that. So, based on the impressions that are there in our mind, certain kind of behaviors are acceptable and certain kinds of behaviors are unacceptable. And generally we notice the samskaras when our behavior starts going out of the acceptable range. So like for example, for me, going back to the starting incident, when I was about to hit my friend, so at that time, hey, such physical violence is not a good thing. And when that behavior started going out of the expected or acceptable range, that's when I started, hey, what's going on over here? What's wrong over here? Is there something wrong? So now this could also be on the positive side. Like some kids, maybe just musical prodigies. There are some people who pick up an instrument, and when they pick up an instrument and start playing it, like others are spellbound. A small kid, 3, 4, 5 years old. On YouTube you see this, India has talent, Britain has talent, all these talent shows are there. Some kids perform, oh, that's amazing, the amount of talent that they have. And there is something inside them, we can call them as prodigies, you can say it's in their genes. But again, it's the impressions that can make a person perform or function in extraordinarily good ways also. So the impressions can be positive, the impressions can also be negative or counterproductive, destructive. But generally, when something goes out of the accepted parameters, that's when we notice it. So somebody may drink, but okay, a little drinking, people say drink but don't get drunk. And that's how most people may function. But there are times when somebody drinks and then drives and they almost hit someone. And he said, oh my God, what did I do? This is something which I never want to do. And then I have to pull myself together. I have to deal with this. Maybe this habit has become destructive. Maybe that has become too strong. So, to the extent we have a certain parameter for acceptable way of functioning, to that extent we can actually become aware of our samskaras. If there is no accepted parameter for functioning, for behaving, then our behavior may be going off, but we may not even recognize it. Like say, if somebody finds somebody attractive, they may look at them. Even in the ordinary society, staring at someone, that's considered a bit impolite. Now beyond staring, if somebody starts ogling, that's completely indecent. But the idea is that there is a accepted way of behaving, and when those boundaries start going off, then we become aware. Either we ourselves become aware or somebody else makes us aware. So the disproportionality of the response. How will we know it's disproportionate? It is when there are some standards that determine what is proportionate. That's when we can decide what is disproportionate, and then we become aware. So everybody experiences loss in life. Now, if we lose a job, if there is a breakup in a relationship, we all feel bad. But if somebody becomes utterly dejected and they sink into a terrible depression or they become suicidal, hey, that's a warning sign. No, these things happen. If such a severe reaction is coming, then you have to be careful. Something needs to be done about this. So that's why having a capacity for either self-observation or having others who observe us based on certain accepted parameters of functioning, that helps us to become more aware of the impressions inside us. Otherwise, those impressions may be impelling particular kinds of behavior within us, but we may not even recognize it. So I'll summarize. I discussed 3 main points today in this particular session. First, I talked about the model of the self, that inside us there is the soul, the mind, and the body. The mind is like the software, and which links the body and the soul. It's like the passageway through which consciousness goes. So with respect to the functioning of the mind is meant to be a transmitter and a transformer. But it can become a distractor and a distorter. And when this happens, why does it happen? The last part was the samskaras. The mind has impressions inside it by which the information that is coming in, that we give some meaning to it. Now that meaning can be valid and constructive. When we give some meaning means we put a certain set of stimuli together and we assign some understanding to it. But sometimes it can be invalid and counterproductive. So generally, the presence of samskaras is inferred by the disproportionality of the response to the stimulus. So either small stimulus, large response, large stimulus, small response. And having some accepted parameters of functioning or behaving, along with we observing ourselves, others observing us, can help us understand what samskaras are there and what samskaras are actually controlling or shaping my life and my behavior. So self-observation, how we can do it better, that I'll talk in the next session. So any reflections or questions at this point? Yeah.
So,
Hello. Okay. So I was wondering, when we just born, a new baby born, so we're free from any samskar at the time when we're born, and this just keep building up with the passage of time and the different experience of life that we're having, or this is also something that we carry from our previous life?
Yes, that's true. Yes, it is something we do carry from our previous lives.
Okay.
Because if it's only from this life, then we can consider there are identical twins. They share the same genes entirely. The genetic content is completely same, and yet identical twins also differ in their behaviors, in their personality. So our behavior cannot be reduced to the genes that we get when we acquire a particular biological body. So that is one factor, but we also bring impressions from a previous life. So among these 3 levels, the soul, the body, the mind, and the soul. When we die, the body is left behind, and the soul along with the mind goes to the next body and acquires the next body. And that's why I say when all babies cry, but there are some babies, they cry as if they will bring the whole house down, unless somebody immediately pays attention to them. So the newborn babies also have impressions. Those impressions may become evident over time. So we do carry samskaras from our previous lives also.
Sorry, I have a second question. Is it
Yeah, sure.
okay?
Please
Also
go
to
ahead.
ask, sorry. I have read some researches. They were saying that also some samskar of the parents can be transmitted to the child. What do you think about this? It is possible that we carry some trauma from our parents or like ancestor.
Okay, definitely. In general, samskaras are not just something which are passive. They are being continuously formed and reformed. And therein lies the hope for self-transformation, which we'll discuss as we move forward. So, every action that we do, it creates some impression inside us. Now, depending on how much we are involved or how much we are impacted by that action, that impression becomes deeper. Like, we also say that, say, if we use the word impression, we also use it, say, if we go to a party, we meet 50 people, and we remember 2 or 3 people very vividly. Why? Because they made some impression on us. You know, this person was so brilliant, or this person was so obnoxious, whatever. So, impression means it's some kind of imprint is created on our mind. So, at a conscious level, the way we are raised, we take in a lot from the conduct of our parents, and that itself creates impressions. So, if somebody grew up in a home which was dysfunctional, where the only way to resolve a conflict was a shouting match, both start yelling at each other and whoever yells the loudest wins, then that person will grow up and think that's the way to resolve conflicts. So that is the impression that is formed. So there are impressions that are, you could say, consciously formed, like parents may model or try to model certain behavior in front of their children. Like even in ordinary society, people may use swear words, but if kids are present in front of kids, we should not use swear words. That's a common way of functioning. So the idea is we don't want kids to pick that up. So yes, the parents' behavior shapes us and it creates impressions. And one aspect of parenting is that we give good impressions to our children. Now, at a subconscious level also, so if say somebody had a parent who was very emotionally distant, very emotionally withdrawn, then that person may also, they may appear cold when they interact with others. But they may not be cold necessarily. They may not be intentionally cold. But it's just that that's the way they saw others behaving, or they saw the family people behaving, and that's what they internalized. So yes, so broadly speaking, the samskara that are present in our life right now, some have come from our past life, and some have come from our present life till this point. Okay, thank you.
Hi. I don't know if it's a question, but it's more just I wanted your reflection on something I'm thinking, which is I feel like we all, or a lot of people, think about how they avoid the impressions, how they, can you say the word just so I say it correctly, the samskara?
Samskara, yeah.
Samskara. Okay. Like
so samskara, you can remember it in English as SOMESCAR. Yes. Everyone has some scar.
Okay. Okay, that's nice. All right.
Some scar in their psyche.
Yeah, but also like the scars, it's almost like scars are something that is negative that's happened, but to me it feels more like it's inevitable. Inevitable. You know, we are born, we live, these things happen, right? And it's like, are we trying to, I guess I'm asking, are we trying to avoid these, and are we trying to protect our children, make sure they have as little of these scars as possible, or are we more saying, how do we empower people to live with the scars and move forward with them and live an empowered life in spite of those? You understand?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
So 2 points to this. You know, there is, if we are raising children, there is the love that guards and there is the love that guides. So especially if our children are very small, no, at that time we have to protect them, isn't it? So that is the time, the love that guards. If this kid is 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, we can't just tell that, you know, terrible things happen in life. No, at that time we have to protect them. But parents cannot keep guarding the children for the entire life. Eventually, there's love that guides. Okay, these things happen in life, and how do we respond to them? So with respect to samskaras, there are two things which we are trying to do. First is understand if some samskaras are unknowingly or even unintentionally shaping our behavior in particular ways that we do not want. So that's why we are trying to understand the samskaras. That if I tend to be short-tempered, or if I tend to be cold, and I may not even be aware that I'm being like that. So samskara, looking at our samskaras can help us make sense of the way we are behaving. So in that sense, it is so that we can function better. Second is that while life will inevitably give us some scars, life will scar us in some way or the other, but there are some unhealthy impressions that can and should be avoided. Say, for example, there are some substances that are addictive, and if somebody starts taking those substances without knowing that they can be addictive, and they get addicted, then they get hooked and they find it very difficult to get rid of those. They are trapped even without their knowing it. So what has happening is those impressions have already become formed. So knowing that things do form impressions on us, we can become more careful about choosing what experiences we expose ourselves to or subject ourselves to. Now, that does not mean we run away from all difficult experiences. But there is unnecessary danger and trouble. See, it's like somebody wants to go hiking up. That's adventure, that's excitement, there's some risk, but that's fine. But somebody deliberately goes to the edge of a slippery cliff and peers down, bending down as much as is safe and beyond what is safe, and they slip and fall. Now, that is dangerous, and maybe that is unnecessary. You want to look at the mountain, that's fine, but do we really need to code danger for that? So understanding that impressions are formed ensures that we don't expose ourselves unknowingly or unintentionally to things that will affect our behaviors. Does that make sense? Let's choose these 2 points. So it's not to avoid. Life will give us some hard knocks, and we all need to learn to rise from those. But sometimes there is unnecessary trouble that arises from our unhealthy choices, which compounds the trouble. So for example, if there's an accident, if we fall and slip, and we become panicky, or somebody around us becomes panicky, instead of calling 911 or calling some ambulance for help, we just become panicky. A small injury can become far worse. So okay, stay calm. Okay, in such times I tend to become panicky, then maybe I need to learn some behaviors or some practices by which I can decrease my panicky responses. So that way we can make healthier choices. So essential is not to avoid difficulties, but to make healthier choices.
Yes, it just seems like a real fine line between like protecting yourself and then doing enough to learn the lessons. I guess that's what you're getting at here, which is like understanding where that balancing point. So many people are so protecting themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
And they don't live their life, right? Because they're so scared about what will happen, what's next. And then the other side of it is the people that are jumping off the cliff and then something goes wrong. It's like, how do you find that balance point where you understand how to push yourself enough to grow without, but also not put yourself in too much danger?
Yes, see, it depends on what is important in our life. So when something is important, we will take up danger and trouble for that. Say for example, if somebody has a newborn child, then taking care of a child is a 24/7 job. You can't really say that I have regular sleep patterns and therefore baby you go to sleep now. If you cry at night, I'm not going to take care of you. No, So that is, if we have brought a child into the world, it is our responsibility. And then, okay, even if we have to wake up whatever time, sleep whatever time we can, we do that. But in general, it is good to have some amount of regulation in our life. Okay, this is time I sleep, this is time I wake up. So if so there is a regular pattern, and it's good to create that habit. But we shouldn't become so attached to the habit that when some higher purpose is available for us, at that time that habit limits us. Say somebody is an emergency care doctor, and that person says, I sleep at this time, I wake up at this time. But you are in emergency care. If an emergency call comes up, if somebody is dying, you have to go there. So if so whatever habits we are forming, samskaras lead to the formation of habits also. So our habits should be aiding us. They shouldn't be controlling and dominating us. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So one extreme could be if you have a pendulum, one extreme is that we have no regulation, no pattern, no habits. We just do whatever urge comes up within us. And the other is we have such a rigid schedule that in the attempt to regulate our life, we miss out on life itself.
Yeah, you missed the beauty.
Yeah, so we need to have some regulation, but our attachment is not to the regulation. Our attachment is our focus. Our priority is the things that bring meaning and value to our life. Okay.
Cool, thank you, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna. So, as you define and explain this self-understanding, so I would like to know more about, in the context of Bhagavad Gita, how we can have better self-understanding by understanding of Bhagavad Gita, and please put more light on that. Thank you.
See, in the Bhagavad Gita 6.5 and 6.6 are among my favorite verses. So 6.5 says that elevate yourself with yourself. Don't degrade yourself with yourself. For you can be your best friend or you can be your worst enemy. So the idea of that there is a lower self and a higher self, or you could say the soul is the observer, and there is the mind. In the mind, the impulses keep coming up, all of them, based on samskaras. So we need to, so the soul and the mind are working together. We need to act in such a way that the soul and mind combination rises upwards. Not that the mind impels us choices by which we go downwards. So in one sense, the whole purpose of yoga ultimately is to get the whole being to rise upwards, to link with the divine. So we will discuss further practices about how we can go about doing this. So the bonds and the boundaries, that's abhyas and vairagya. When we talk about that, that's entirely based on the Bhagavad Gita itself.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So should we take a 10-minute break now? So we will, what's the time now? 45. Okay. So around 11:45 we'll join back, and then we'll talk a little bit about self-observation and journaling as a tool for self-observation. Thank you.